Chosen One!
Welcome to the Chosen One. I am your host, Qui-Gon Din, and today I am joined by a former Rogue Support host, cast member, but now on his own new podcast, Rarely Reserved. We are talking with Omnus.
Dude, what's going on? We've waited way too long to do this.
I know, right? I have completed the trifecta of Rogue Support hosts now. Except I didn't catch you in time. Now you're Rarely Reserved.
Oh, yeah.
I caught your first episode, by the way. I enjoyed it. It'll be fun meeting you and Sin at the Evergreen Open, which is our topic today. So, can you just describe in brief words what is the Evergreen Open and what is Dragonflight Gamescom?
So I will admit I have not been many times, but Dragonflight, as far as I understand, is probably at its core kind of a tabletop RPG con. Kind of a, I hate to say mini Gen Con, but I think it's meant to, it's inspired more by Gen Con than some of the stuff that us war gamers are more traditionally used to. And so there's a lot of that going on. It's not really a Comic Con. Um, and so you have a lot of that. But it does often have, it's had War Machine in the past. I think the first time I went there was actually like playing some War Machine maybe 10 years ago or something. But then this popped up and um, uh, we ended up with kind of all of the GTs, right? There's a Legion one, there's a MCP one, and Shatterpoint, and Izzy kind of is the overarching guy that kind of oversees all of that stuff. But yeah, now there's basically it's kind of like this one room that's for this mini stuff, which is where the schedule gets a little bit weird because it's Shatterpoint on Friday and then MCP on Saturday and then like all of like the top four kind of finals on Sunday. But yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely got a unique vibe for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be my second GT event, which funnily enough, first one was Worlds. That was a little
Throw
bit of
yourself to the fire right away.
hey, I did pretty well, so I can't complain. It just I don't have a local scene, and I had to go. I had the chance to go to Adepticon, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this, win or lose. I'm gonna go have fun. So having a local GT for me, that's local enough. It's like 5 hours, 5 hour drive. Not too bad. My dad lives over there by Bellevue. He's in Silverdale, so I get to visit him, and it's like I'm going to the GT on Friday, and if I make Top Cut Saturday, I get to hang out with my dad, and we're just gonna chill out. But yeah, so any tips for like going to conventions in general? As some people get overwhelmed, they don't like being a lot of people. Again, introverts. My brother's an introvert. I'm dragging him to this one. This is going to be his first
Nice.
major event, and it's also his first convention. So it's partially what is driving this topic.
I want you to know, so a few things. I'm slightly derailing things, but you're probably used to this with me. Since you go by Qui-Gon Din, I kind of want you on your show to be like, it's Qui-Gon dinner time or something like really silly or something really silly. Did you know that I actually grew up much closer to Spokane than where I'm at now?
I did not like. I just know that you were running the event in Washington. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I get to go meet Omnus. I didn't get to see you at Adepticon, so I'll.
Yeah, I grew up in Lewiston, Idaho, Clarkston, Washington area. So I definitely know the exact drive that you're taking.
Yep, I-95 all the way to east to drive over the pass.
A lot of yellow fields. Um, yeah, so I would say general advice, because this was something kind of at my very first War Machine Con, I realized when I felt like I was doing quite well, but the biggest thing was that I was losing time to kind of lack of organization. I kept needing to go back, get things out of my bag. I didn't have a tournament tray yet. And so like this was a thing that I was just talking about with Sin because this is going to be her first GT. Sin, obviously my new co-host of Rarely Reserved. This is going to be her first, which I think is pretty cool because my first GT was also Evergreen Open. And so now she's going to get to experience it a year later. And we're talking about like how you move from table to table, right, can very actively be a thing. And I see a lot of people like they just put all their minis like back into their case and they're basically getting everything out fresh every single game, and you don't realize how much of that time and mental bandwidth and stuff that eats up, especially if you're going to do 4 to 5 rounds in a day. So I would definitely say figure out a very simple solution and like get all of your stuff together that you need for the GT and
Y-
go, and then just like how are you going to hold all of this? Does it all fit in your hands? Is anything too bulky? Is anything like I have a template tray from Mr. Laser that I have all my templates in. I think a lot of time people are trying to like stick their templates somewhere weird, and it's like what happens when you're walking and you're trying to navigate around other players and you tip and you drop your templates on the floor because they were just kind of like set on top. Little things like that, to just think about how are you going to navigate from table to table, ends up being probably the biggest thing that I would stress for people. I mean, I can have lots of other little tips, but I figured I'd bounce it back to you in case you have comments or questions there.
I got a little tip to add on that. If you don't have
Sure.
like a carry tray, your best friend is an old tin lunchbox. And if you have magnetized
Yeah.
models, you can put them all in your slot, and it's small, but wide enough that you can just take it table to table, pull out your menus that you need, and you're good to go. That's what I used for Adepticon, and it saved a lot of time. That and organized containers for your tokens, because having a bag full of tokens, I had two opponents that just brought the Ziploc bag with all the tokens mixed together. That made things take a lot longer.
I think if so I have enough tokens in my token case for 2 people because obviously I've recorded games and such, and sometimes that's just easier. And so I think if I saw someone with just a plastic bag of tokens, I would just be like, "Bro, do you just want to like use my tokens? Like, it's I'll just set it halfway between both of us. Like, we're good." Like, uh, and but yeah, no, I totally agree there. An old War Machine trick was people would take like McDonald's trays. I don't know how,
Yes.
like, if they just stole them, but it's just like your generic restaurant tray. And at these day and age, you could get like something like that off of Amazon really easy. I've seen people use cake tins
Yes.
as well. Um, so
Cake.
like you don't have to go buy an expensive tray or anything, but there are simple solutions that make your life so much easier.
Oh yeah, like for me, it's like the lunch pail thing. It works for staring carrying them area. It's also a super budget way of taking them on the plane with you, because some of those carrying cases are like super expensive. And my solution to that budget problem was I got a zip upable waterproof cooler that I can put all my stuff in, and I can take it as a carry on. And with everything,
Nice.
yeah, gaming on a budget, you make do with what you got. But no, the other thing that I would say is, we're talking about trays and everything. When you set up tables and you put tokens on tables, my biggest recommendation is that all of the markers that are on the table are all one players. I do not like mixing objective tokens with people, any of the priority objectives. If they're going to set up the table and they have the stuff to set up, I would prefer it to be all theirs. That way you do not get your tokens mixed up.
People mix tokens for the objective. You're giving me nightmares, Din. I like people do that.
It happened to me
I
once at Adepticon. Once they started going,
that's
yeah, you handle the tokens on your side of the board and you handle mine. I'm like, no, we're just going to use all mine. I'm not.
yeah.
It's such a headache trying to go, who's this who's. I'm like, no, no. You're going to use the struggle tracker and everything. Everyone uses the whole kit for the map and everything. It makes it so much simpler for cleanup.
Yeah, I generally use mine. That my tokens are Mod Podged, so unless you're like one of a few other people who have done that to their tokens to make them look acrylic, it's really hard to lose track of whose is whose. And so I usually do mine, and because I try to be as ready to go for a game as absolutely possible. I'll usually just start setting up the mission right away and assuming that my opponent has a few more things to get out, get their setup organized. I did want to mention on the tray thing, there's a dice tray that I could link to that I ended up picking up kind of accidentally off Amazon. It's like $35. But not only does it have slots for the dice so they don't rattle around too much, the inside of the tray is the perfect size to fit an entire Shatterpoint Premier list, like
Ooh.
in heart sleeves, and it barely moves around. And then it has a topper that goes over the whole thing and just holds it into place.
Uh,
The only thing I'll say, I think if you're using the hard sleeves, you can't quite fit in your mission pack with everything else, but everything else fits. And then what I'll do at an event, I use it for MCP, and this was roughly the same amount of cards. But I would just flip the top of the dice tray upside down, so it's basically a big dice tray, and then I would just put all my models in that. And so then I just like have that plus my token case plus my templates, and I just carry that to tables, and it's so convenient. I think Sin just picked it up on my suggestion, and I think she's already fallen in love with it. It's so easy. Uh,
yeah, no,
when I was like,
if you link it into the chat, I will put it in my description. I'm always up
yeah,
for sharing good stuff like that with the community.
I was so amazed when I got it. And I was like, wait a second, do the hard sleeves fit in here? And I was like, oh, they do. With like only a couple millimeters of extra space, so they don't even really rattle around. I was like, this is a godsend. I don't know who did this, but they became my best friend.
I'm so glad that they made the 5x7 top loaders so you can like put your freaking ability cards in there, because it's like I just bought the all the the updated cards and I'm like, I don't want these getting ruined. My shiny new Mace Windu. And
Yes.
um but I think we could touch on that drama from Adepticon, the Shatterpoint cards, and the solution to, are they going to be legal at the event or not? And uh, I think we got to touch about the fix, because it's not just sleeves.
Right.
So viewers, the Shatterpoint cards from Adepticon, and including the new foils, even the new foil Krennic and what's his name Andor cards, are slightly offsize, but the biggest offender are the Shatterpoint cards. They are both thicker and wider, and even if you put them in the new matte black sleeves that are released by, I can't remember the name of the company that just released them, the guy in Canada, you could still stack, you unnaturally stack the Shatterpoint on top because it's a bigger card. If you're going to use those cards at the event, you gotta have top loaders with top loader backers. Uh,
Yeah,
you,
I agree with you there.
it sucks, but you got to do it. Otherwise, you're stacking the deck, and it's too easy. Um, like, I'm stubborn. I'm gonna use my fancy Jedi Shatterpoint card, but I have to do it with the fix. Otherwise, can't play it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have something where you're shuffling and it's like I was just noticing 'cause I was trying out some Empire stuff the other day and I sleeved my Empire Shatterpoint cards out of a different pack of sleeves than like the Rebel and Mando stuff that I've been playing more often. And then I noticed that my Shatterpoint sleeve was like 2 millimeters shorter
that
than the other ones.
it
And that immediately irritated me. It was a super casual game, so I didn't worry about it there. But then when I put together the list again, I made sure to switch out one of my Shatterpoint cards for a sleeve that was the exact same size, or at least close enough that I couldn't tell the difference. Just because I would hate to be in the position where I won a game and someone felt like it was influenced by some card sleeves. I just really want to be above reproach, is really the thing. I think most everybody is really cool and wouldn't try to do anything, cheaty, but I've judged Magic events in the past. I've definitely had to kick people out for cheating. And so it does happen, even if it's rare. But I think it's really important that if you pride yourself on being a good part of the community and that you want to also be above reproach, you need to have a good solution like what you've described here because all it takes is one bad game where like something's super close and maybe it's deciding who makes top cut. And even if you didn't do it, but someone felt like you could have, you could create community divides, which is really rough at something like Evergreen Open, where this is really a community event, right? This is going to be like Portland, BC, Washington. Then we've got some people coming from like Arizona, Vegas, Utah, that sort of thing. So but this is a community thing. And this is where if a Portland guy and a BC guy, right, got a rough game, you could create a bad divide where then both sides don't want to come to events. And so I think there's just a really important aspect to this of, hey, be above reproach, find a good solution. Um, or you can always have a conversation about it before a game. Like, hey, these are a little bit different. I try not to pay attention to it. And if you're already like lost a game or something, you're kind of in the drinking bracket, as we like to call it, maybe they don't care. But if it does matter to someone and you just give them the option, like, hey, I also have a normal Shatterpoint card with me if you would prefer. Um, I think there's a lot of ways to handle it, and as long as you find a good way that doesn't create any unnecessary divides in the community, then you're off to a good start.
That's the last thing Shatterpoint needs is drama. We already get enough issues with AMG changing the meta on us on a dime with certain releases. Uh, yeah, I got actually kind of like a rant video coming out about Delta Squad because AMG did not learn from what they did with Iden. My thoughts on Delta Squad are pretty spicy. It's got fun box, but oh boy, am I glad that I do not think we're gonna have to see a ton of it at the Evergreen Open.
Yeah, I will say when it comes, I think overall AMG makes really fun, fantastic games. They do occasionally get themselves into this spot where there's this weird window where, because they only do errata about every 2 years, so there's this strange window where they have just made something that's based on what the existing meta is. And so in the case of like Delta Squad, right, that was because their playtest cycle was probably playtested 9 months ago, a year ago, something like that, right? Based on just how long it takes to go through these cycles. So it's very possible that Delta was playtested before they did the errata playtest.
That's
And so,
exactly my thoughts.
yeah.
I think they were designed around the same time Iden. In fact, you can kind of clearly tell they were based on the fact that Boss is basically the same as Iden. Like it is such a it's like instead of being a clone off of Jango Fett, it's Boss is a clone off of Iden, and it's like look at my homework without saying I copied your homework.
But yeah, it came up in MCP in the past before too, where you do a round of errata, and then there's some releases that are coming right after the errata, and they either look bad or they look really strong just because now the whole new meta has settled a little bit. And Iden's still really good. But yeah, I definitely think Delta is quite strong, and I don't have a perfect solution to how do you deal with like upcoming releases right after an errata. Because I mean, nobody likes day one errata, I think, for the most part. So it's kind of a hard spot. Not necessarily just trying to say definitively that they should or should not be changed, but I think everybody feels Delta's going to come out. It's going to be strong. We should probably address that in this moment since Delta technically releases Friday morning, which is the morning of the GT. And so, as it stands right now, I was talking with Izzy, who, since he kind of oversees all this stuff, I try to defer to him first and not just make calls like I would for LVO. Um, but he's like, if they're legal, they're legal. And so there is a world where either A, someone could order them from the UK, have them in hand, and then as long as they don't get officially delayed, if they list locked with them and they still release like normal Friday morning, then they'd be able to play them. Or if a local has a game store, because I have purchased models from a game store at midnight before when I was super excited. I forget what model it was. But there was definitely something I was like, hey, you guys close at midnight. Can I hang out until just after midnight and then you guys sell me this model? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. Um, and so there is a world where someone could do that too if a game store stays open until midnight on Thursday. Pick it up, assemble it, come play Friday morning. But that's the window.
Yeah,
So
it,
I don't know if we'll get many, but it is possible.
yeah, and it definitely. I am bringing a list just in case I end up facing Death Squad because I know I'm not going to have that window because list registrations that Wednesday and
Yeah.
I drive in on Thursday. So there's no way that I'm going to be able to find boss before the event. And I'm not going to take a game loss just because I can't play the list.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a risk. Like if you lock it and then like because sometimes stores, as I'm usually on a pre-order list, and so sometimes pre-orders will come in on like Tuesday, and we're like, oh, okay, I definitely know that they're already in stock in the store and they're releasing on time. There's sometimes where they're like Thursday, like we haven't gotten the box yet. It could still arrive on Saturday, but it might arrive Monday, you know. Or sometimes you just don't know about that stuff between shipping delays and everything going on in the world. It's definitely a risk if you want to try to plan to play them, practice around them, and then week of, even if you're not list locked into them, but week of, you've been practicing nothing but Delta, and then they get delayed.
Oh, that bite that
That
I could never do that. I could never risk a an event like that. Like the so listeners, for this upcoming GT circuit, I go over this on my little rant video. It's not doom and gloom. Like this isn't the game's gonna die. This is gonna destroy the game. But it's definitely Delta is the new list to beat because it has two things going for it. It's basically as good as Iden, and it's super popular. So you're gonna see a lot of it. Everyone is excited about the squad, myself included. I played Republic Commando games growing up during the Halo days. It's got the nostalgia. Everything's lined up for you're gonna love it at first, and then 3 months from now, you're gonna be sick of it.
I so my biggest challenge with them, and we want to talk hobby for just a second. I paint all my stuff black and red. And so I've got to figure out how to make it very obvious for my opponents which ones are the supports, which one is the secondary, and which one is the primary. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to get creative with
Well,
basing or
well, the
something. I
primary
gotta.
is easy. It's the worst done AMG model in the game because they gave Boss these little pea shooters. And I'm like, the one thing I will say that I do not like about Delta Squad is the sculpts. I'm like,
Yeah, I've heard someone else complain. It doesn't jump out to me as negative, but I mean, I'll see when I have them in person. They just look like clones. But I also didn't play the game, so I'm just like, hey, here's cool Republic clones. I'm down.
I'm excited for the art, but it's they took away Boss's awesome, the modifiable blaster, and they gave him these little pea shooters that he actually never used in the game. And I'm like, you took away his big gun and you gave him. It's like the Men in Black scene where Kay gets this big gun. Here's the little mini cricket. Oh, that's an old movie. Um, but no, I feel that is there any good like food joints around the Evergreen Open that you would recommend if you've eaten at restaurants, or is there going to be food at the con? Because we all know.
so so this is a spot that I literally go past like 10 times a week, at least, sometimes more, is where this con actually takes place. I go past it on my way to and from work. So I know exactly where it's at. It is not a great spot for being able to walk to food. There is a restaurant in the hotel, and which does have solid food. But solid food, that it kind of sounds like I'm talking to a bunch of babies and be like, "Oh, don't worry, it's not all baby food." Uh no, it's totally fine. I know Donovan, Ryan, and myself, we ate there and had beers Sunday last year. It was totally fine. But with that said, you would probably want to have your own snacks, your own protein bars or whatever. It's not a super convenient where you can just like walk and go get a sandwich or something at a Subway or like, something nearby. It's in this kind of string of businesses and hotels that's just outside of downtown Bellevue. So it'll be very easy, I think, for you to like go get dinner Thursday night and have a ton of options that are within range of, like a $10 lift, right? There you're really close to the downtown Bellevue Square Mall, Bellevue Square Park. There's tons of shopping and restaurants of all different ranges and such pretty nearby, but not like you can finish a game early, go get it, and then come back and be ready for round three or something like that. So that is kind of where you're at. If you're exploring on Saturday when there isn't a Shatterpoint event, you do have a lot of stuff that's probably like walking distance as long as you're comfortable walking for a half hour, but you're right on a bus route or you're an easy Lyft ride. There's tons of Lyft, Uber drivers and stuff in the area. And you're also not that far from Mox Bellevue if you want to check out the local gaming store on Saturday, which I think the rough plan is that Sin and I are going to host kind of a rarely reserved hangout on Saturday at Mox for anyone in the Shatterpoint community who wants to join.
Oh, that'll be cool. Yeah, no, definitely. I recommend bringing food because, at, and it's not just for this event. Any convention in general. You've heard horror stories of how bad con food is, and Adepticon was no different. The burgers at the little cafeteria in the Adepticon were pretty bad. I did that day one, and after the hangout for the rogue support, and we went to the market street. I'm like, we're eating here for now on. I ain't eating con food anymore. It was it was rough. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, bring food, bring water. If you need caffeine, bring a soda or coffee or something. That's definitely a recommendation. Don't change your diet too much. That's definitely a big one.
Yeah. On
And
that note, so I run into this problem a lot of time if I fly to conventions because I work a 10 to 7 schedule and everybody wants to get up and go to breakfast before an event that usually is like dice roll at 8, dice roll at 9. And my body is not used to consuming food in that window. And so I feel sick every single time I go, even though I love breakfast. I love breakfast. So it's so hard for me to turn down like eggs and bacon, toast. That's my jam. That's the best. But I can't do it. It destroys me at events where I just feel sick the whole day because my body is just not used to processing food at that time of day. If I try to eat it, 7:30, 8 o'clock, it wrecks me. But I cannot stress enough how important it is to have a protein bar or trail mix or just something where you can snack when you feel you need it. I literally it changed me in War Machine where I went from being the X and 1 player to winning events
yeah,
where that was the thing that I needed was I was just running out of energy a little bit and I wasn't staying in the zone and I wasn't we've all been there in the miniatures games, right? Where you're kind of just like, I'm going to make a play and hope that this ends the game, as opposed to making the right play that will end the game when it's ready to end. And we've all been there. And it was literally a friend gave me a protein bar. I was like, I'm now going to bring these to events. And I just always had a couple of protein bars and a bottle and water. And that changed it for me. And that was the thing I needed to get me over the top. And so, yeah, absolutely. I could not imagine doing an event without at least one protein bar and a hydro flask filled with water.
like water. Like, don't do what I did at Adepticon. It's like I was on my gourd. So day one, I no food, and I drank like in between the rounds of all four rounds, I drank like 6 bottles of Mountain Dew. And
Jesus Christ.
yeah, the cat I had such a caffeine and sugar high that I was just like riding it. Day two, I doing fine. And right after day two's over, right after the hangout and everything, and I finally get some real food. Like the third day of the con, like I felt so bad, and my body is like it finally like was crashing. That I'm like, do I drop out of the frenemies event? And I'm like, I played through it. I took some Tylenol, but day three was rough. Like, don't do that. Definitely bring some food, protein, just something. Do not do what I do and drink 6 Mountain Dews in a single day.
I'm a soda addict. Absolutely, like 100%. And I drink Mountain Dew. 6 bottles of Mountain Dew in a day is mind-boggling.
I'm a huge addict. I'm now on the point where I'm like I'm trying to cut soda, so like I'm on
Yeah,
zero sugar now. I'm like nope,
makes sense.
it's a zero sugar shit for me now. But yeah, uh, but no, like so the Evergreen Open. This is going to be the second GT Washington has had, or is it the third? I want to say second.
For Shatterpoint, no, I'm pretty sure that this is just the second because I'm pretty sure the Evergreen Open was the first wave of the Shatterpoint GTs. Because it just hadn't existed for that long.
Yeah,
So I don't think the GTs existed the year before last. And I can't think of another one off the top of my head. There was, I think PAX last year did have some sort of AMG event going on, but I don't think it was GT prizes. I think it was AMG hosted, I believe, but it was a smaller thing. So yeah, I think this is the second Washington State GT as far as I'm aware.
so so speaking of prizes, is the pricing for the event like the standard GT, or is there going to be any like special just Washington prizes? Like I know that the GT current season, the trophy is like the acrylic Boba Fett standee thing. I saw that in one of the posts
Yeah.
on Discord. Um, which
Yeah, as I don't think there's anything in addition to that stuff. I might bring something, but that'll be kind of like up to me if I decide to like add something in there. But I have not decided on that front. So yeah, I would expect standard GT pricing for the most part. I will say I think both myself and Time to Nerd are going to be recording games, so we should have a bunch of games to watch from the GT for the community afterwards.
oh, that'll be so you're gonna have two recording tables. That'll be nice. I never got onto the streaming table at Adepticon, and my dad was really upset about that. He wanted to watch me play. Well, he's it's kind of like similar to your story when you were talking about on the Adepticon week. It's like my dad like messaged me up. It's like he looked me up on Longshanks and everything. It's like you're doing really well at the event. It's like it says you like did took second place at Worlds. I'm like, no, Dad, that's just Heat One.
Yeah.
I got second place overall with a 4-0 finish on day one. Now I have to go to day two. Overall, I get 13th out of the 101 players at Worlds, which was cool. So, meta predictions. What tag do you think wins the event?
Um, so this is always a little hard because coming from the rogue support background, I feel like most people try to predict based on who's coming and what they're gonna play, right? Like especially if you already know. Like say if I thought Sarah Cruel was just definitely gonna win and I know he's playing all Empire, then you pick Empire tag. But like if I step back and just go, okay, I don't actually know what Kenny's playing at the moment. I know he's talked about on his show that he likes Annie and Kiadi Mundi, and they've also been trying some of the Cad Cassian stuff. Um, I don't think Spectre has gotten any worse, really. They're still great. But if I'm just going from like a pure perspective of what I think is potentially the best list in the game at the moment, man, I feel like it's got to be Galactic Republic, and my gut says that the best Galactic Republic, if we're not including Delta Squad, is I think OB Cam is the list to beat.
I'm I think currently I agree that it's gonna be some type of Obi list or a Cam list, or it's just gonna be both of them together. I think Mace Obi's
Yeah,
got play. I think any of the Jedi pairings with Cam has got play. They're such good. Uh and at this event particular, I'm gonna say don't sleep on Separatist. Been playing some Rift Hampson. That box is a lot scarier than first glance. It is a glass
yeah,
cannon, but the Grievous throwing like 11 attack dice is a drug. Uh, Rift
Same.
Hampson is surprisingly aggressive. And but the biggest
Those are
su-
sharp.
the biggest surprise to me, the Aqua Droids are the best unit in the box.
That
Uh,
doesn't surprise me,
a
but
lot of people are
go
down
on.
on them right now, and I'm like, put them on the table. They feel amazing with the synergies that you get from Separatists. They are really performing, and then Nasarai is really cool. But eh, I I want to say they're probably my pick for wild card, and then don't sleep on Jin. Jin is absolutely nuts. I think PLC is going to be huge. As long as we don't see too much Delta Squad, I think Spectre are going to do really good as well. Like I think once Delta Squad enters the room, Spectre get a little worse. The Delta
I love that you live up to your reputation of going hard on the unreleased stuff. I
I
love it.
I have to because I look towards the future and stuff and like stuff that's like
Yeah.
especially if it's coming right out and it's like I could see what it does. But I played against Dizzard in the league and I put Kanan up against it. Oh boy, was it rough! I got blitzed on points. He didn't wound stuff to trigger Kanan. He just waited to pull Boss or Seven Scorch. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put 2 damage on your thing by using abilities instead of attacks, and I got like one Kanan trigger the entire game. It was rough. Like I have it on my channel. It was like one of the fastest games. First time going into Delta Squad, and oh boy, does that list feel like I. But
Yeah.
like, it's really good.
But I do agree with you. Riff is going to be out a week beforehand, so there's time for people to pick up models and paint them. I know my co-host, I don't believe, is planning on doing that, even though she is planning to play Grievous. She wants to kind of just focus on what she knows and is a little nervous about kind of shaking things up with a totally learning 3 models, right before an event where she just wants to have like good, solid, clean play. And so I think she's still going to rep with Grievous, but maybe wait on and start practicing those after Dragonflight for LVO. But I do agree. I think they will definitely be cool. I think people will definitely try them. I'll be very excited. I think it'll definitely be a goal of mine to see if I can get a Riff game recorded. Would be super cool. I will say, I think the Jin box does have a big potential to change up the meta maybe more than we realize, because even though she still seems good. I'm not down on Jin herself. I think she has a lot of cool things going for her. But like Bodhi and Baze and Chirrut both feel like they could break Rebels wide open. And so
I
I would not be sleeping on that at all. I think they're out in 2 weeks, or yeah, something like that. I'm very excited about that box.
Oh, that box is so good. So I've been playing I've been playing a lot of Jin and I'm super high on Jin. She's like I'm like struggling between 3 lists for my second list. It's like I'm like, am I playing Jin or am I playing Riff? Because I'm struggling with both. I've been playing both. And Jin is so much fun. Basin Turret might be the most consistent support in the game for me. I'm just like, these guys are doing so much work. Again, insert distracted girlfriend meme here, where I'm like, I'm holding the hand of Han and Chewie, and I'm looking back at freaking Baze and Chirrut, and I'm like, yeah, can I just be holding both hands and run both supports?
Yeah.
Because
You just became polyamorous is what they call that.
yeah, it's like it's definitely I still got to put Leia box and Jin box just together because Jin has been phenomenal. She is if you get her up the board before you activate her, she's one of the most mobile and like super killy pieces that rebels have access to, and she does not spend a lot of force until she starts going down, and even then she's once she's in position, she's doing what she wants to do. It's very good. Definitely watch
Yeah.
out for Jin. Very good. Think people are sleeping on her because they're all excited about the Bodhi and the Basin turret, and I'm like, she's just as good. That whole box does so much for Rebels. The biggest thing that it does for Rebels, None of them are named any characters from the original trilogy. It's
Yeah,
like
that's a huge help.
like it's really good. That box is super solid. Rift
I'm
Hansen.
very excited to pick it up, and I'm gonna be playing it probably in the weeks leading up. So hopefully my community can get some practice against it because I'm definitely gonna be testing it.
It's super good. And you get to play PLC with her, which is my favorite pairing so far. Still got to put Han on the board with her though, because that has the makings of a super mobile list. And then
Baze and Druid are also really good for Cassian, is what it seems. I haven't tried it yet because I wait until I have the models,
I
but
think
it
they are
looks like there's some great synergy there.
I think they are what make Cassian Andor work. Because right now you're taking Han and Chewie in that slot, which just opens up you to get shot and not get a revenge trigger from Kanan out of it. But you switch them for base and shirt. Now they got that rebel tag, and your whole list is rebel scoundrel. So Callus gets a lot farther. It's a really good list. My brother loves the Kanan list, and
On that
I'm
note, I'm excited to meet your brother. I know that we haven't met either, but we've spoken a lot more online. But I'm excited to meet you and like actually get to see your brother.
yeah, he's more of an introvert, but he enjoys the game a lot, and he's going to be
I'm a known introvert adopter.
he's going to be repping the Empire. That's his favorite thing. He loves all things Empire. We'll be going over our list before the event, like after we're list locked and everything. That's going to be an episode we release on that Friday. But the yeah, no, I think the Evergreen Open definitely is something that if you're in the Washington area, go to it. It's in Bellevue. It is on the 22nd, and you have to list lock. You lock in your list on the 20th on Longshanks, and so when you lock your list on the Longshanks, is it private until the event, or do you have it set to where you can't private it until or whatnot? I noticed that some people have already inserted in their list, and it's like their public knowledge already. I'm not.
Yeah, it's so this was actually a feature in Longshanks that the reason why it exists is I think largely because of me because I pushed for it. The ability for people to put in their lists and like keep them private. It's a setting that you I wish that it was the default would be my only preference, but when you put in your list, you can set your stuff to private. Um and so they do that by player. So you can absolutely put in a list and keep it private. The intention would be that it should be private. I don't think there's a Longshank setting for me to just like force it all to be private.
Okay. Yeah, no. It's like not that I think anyone's going to go look at a player's list and just I'm going to build a counterpick list because I don't think that strategy works for Shatterpoint. I honestly don't. And like a good pointer of advice is in she's made the right choice by playing something she knows compared to trying Riff without any practice. Um, it's
Well, I
that
think she's also so my co-host is we were going, well, you're gonna need a you've been just playing Grievous for the most part. You need to pick something else to have painted. And so I do think she's locked in going with the hello there combination. And I think she's gonna do Obi Cam and Grievous Luminara and be playing Grievous Obi. So both sides of the hello there.
God, Grievous Lumi is such a good list. It's more people need to play it. Like Lumi is basically a separatist primary at this point. You don't take her in Republic anymore.
Well, I think she's still good in Republic too. I think she's probably an underrated Republic primary. But I will say we this is be a spoiler if you haven't been listening to Rarely Reserved. We started testing out Aura Singh instead of Kalani in the 5 threat spot under in that list combination. And Aura Singh has been really frustrating in that list where she's been playing Grievous, Luminara, Magnagard on one side of the board, and then Luminara, Kraken, B2s on the other side. And Aura and Grievous both having dashes on one can make that side of the board really hard to dislodge. And Aura's ability to like take some pressure off Grievous for wounds or like softening people up at least, but like it's rough when she's just like, I'll kill this guy, then dash this person, then take another attack and like shove this guy off a point. And Aura opened up that list in a really interesting way that was we were just like, let's try it. And I was very surprised at how annoying it was to play against. So I think Aura just like in that list combination is probably better than most people
I
realize.
think aura in general is something that not enough people are exploring. I do have a list for you. Because
Sure, hit me.
I know you've been on this Cad Bane train, and I'm on and I have a specific bounty hunter list where this is might scream to you. It is Cad Bane with General Solo. And
Okay.
the so it's General Solo IG-88 bar 2. Bar 2 is just because they're rebels, then they're the only 3 spot. But under Cad Bane, I'm taking Cad Bane Aura Singh, and I'm taking the bounty hunters, just the Cad Bane box
Okay.
as is.
Yeah.
When you give IG-88 dice to Aura Singh, she becomes a super monster. Like it's a drug, and I have never seen a character hit harder than Crosshair as a secondary. Well, when you give her when you give her IG-88 dice, she's getting a kill every time, and you make her rebel so you can move her around with Han. And then whenever time you're wounding, you're getting your force back, and Han Solo's dashing around the board. It's extremely mobile, and boy, and Cad Bane doesn't care if he gets based because he just blasts stuff with 11 dice and just goes, "Yeah, you're done." You don't need the 2 damage when you're throwing buckets of dice. It's a very fun list. That's
Yeah,
me.
it's funny that you mentioned that because I was just thinking about that literally this morning. Not necessarily with Han, but yesterday I played not a couple games. I played a couple games with Krennic, but one of the games was Krennic Cad Bane, just to kind of see how it would go with like in theory, kind of similar to what you were talking about here, where you kill stuff and then Han gets to move, right? This was kill stuff, Krennic gets to move,
Yeah.
not totally different. Krennic doesn't get a move as often because it only triggers off the secondaries and primaries, but Krennic would get to make attacks, which then soften things up to to maybe make the other wounds easier down the road. So that was kind of the concept. It did not work quite as well as I wanted it to, but one of my thoughts afterwards was definitely thinking about, well, Aura Singh's been doing a lot of really great work. I do think the Cad Bane kind of IG-88 combination does some really cool things. And so I was like, man, but Aura is probably like the most killy bounty hunter in the game. Right? I think that's probably fair to say. I don't think any other bounty hunter has the odds of killing someone the way that she does.
Her expertise is
That's
so good. It's so good.
yeah.
Um
He gets up to like 10 or 11 damage now if you get the right expertise. And so, yeah, there's definitely a like, do I build a CAD Cassian list that has both IG, still has multiple, 2 4 cost supports and has IG and Aura? Like, oh yeah, I could try that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, everyone knows I love Shock T, but because Shock T's kind of locked into my OB cam thing, I'm trying to playlist without her. It's just hard. It hurts my soul. I
it
hope you
does. It's
understand.
like I'm like I want Delta Squad in my hand so that I'm not playing Kiedai Mundi anymore because I'm playing Mace. I'm playing Mace Boss, and that's going to be like my main list. And
Yeah, that seems cool.
freeing up Aura Singh, or not Aura Singh, Shakti means I can take like the other list that I'm really in love with, which is Cad Bane, Princess Leia Charming to the last, where like I have Cad Bane or Shakti. It's no longer bounty hunters. It's now Weequay pirates. The pirates have replaced the bounty hunters in that list, and then it's just the Leia box. And you now have so many ways of moving Cad Bane that the 2 extra damage added on is like almost a surefire thing that you can just set up. And Han and Chewie with like Shakti being able to move them. It's a really fun list, and it's where I've leaned with Cad, and it's one of my favorites. Anytime I can get like PLC on the table is a win
Yeah.
for me.
Also, like, if with like that particular combination, right? Because you said you were doing boss and mace. So I think there's a world where I really like Anakin Cad as a combination. It
Yes.
does mean things. But the biggest problem that I have with Annie Cad is that most Republic stuff doesn't pair very well with it. You could do like Hunter Luminara, I think, would still pair. But in this post box world, I do think there's a list where you could do Boss Mace, right?
Yeah.
Boss box, like depending on what you take with Mace, you do have to have a little bit of like, where do you want Rex? Is a slightly interesting discussion, but I think you could accomplish both of those things. And I don't think I've had as much fun playing Annie Cad because it's just so different than almost any other list in the game. Where that's not like a bounty hunter list. It's a how can like it's a list where when Anakin kills a secondary, you move your whole team.
Yeah. It's so good.
Like everyone, like Cad jumps to a point because of his ability, and you always have enough force, and then everybody else moves, and it's just like, holy crap, how do you deal with this kind of stuff? And you just always have force for like the first contact stuff, and so that would be a really cool thing. And actually, if you make that list combination work, not saying you should, but if someone did, it'd be really good at first contact because both sides of your list has extra force.
So m- boss on first contact is really strong. If you want to play an interesting list, Obi-Wan with boss is gets really stupid really quick when you start to learn that bosses blow up a point ability and then everyone dashes away. They get hunkers.
Yeah.
It came up in a game I did as I tested it. Because after my thorough thrashing by Dizzard, I play against some more Delta Squad, and I put my Mace Mundi list into, which is like the list that I'm hyping right now. It did better in the Delta Squad. It still did not do enough. Mace just gets shot off the board sometimes, and leaving him
Yeah.
in Vapad was a mistake when Boss comes up and plinks him for a crap ton of damage. But
I
no,
do think there's also a world like after Boss comes out where there's probably also an Obi anchor list that probably exists, right? Where you have like Obi Cam, Obi Boss, Obi Annie or Mace, and you probably have enough for all of that, and you're not making any significant sacrifices. You're just going, when do I need the Shakti and Kiadi pushes? When do I want the additional murder potential of Boss, like stuff like that? Um, Republic's in a fucking amazingly fun
you
spot.
can do an Obi anchor list, you can do a Mace anchor list, you can do a Boss anchor list. I have lists for all three of those. And to
You
your
can do Cam Anchor as well. Yeah.
yeah, and to your Cad Bane Anakin, and then you pair that with like Mace Boss on where you take Rex. Just depends on what you want to do. If you want Rex with Anakin,
Yeah.
cool. Rex Arfs with Anakin, and put pawns and 2/12 under Mace, and you're golden. And it
I
gives you
do think there's a world. So in that Mace, I know you like talking Mace. So I do think there's a world where Phil is also a valuable three. The ability for him to like still double move and then shoot something and then move Mace onto a point.
yeah, because Phil is not knocking any character off the point. My issue with the Phil is that if you push them off the point, Mace doesn't get a move to the point. They have to remain on the point. So
Right. But you can, when you're talking about like the like, oh, I just need to shove you off the gantry, but they're still contesting
yeah,
the point. Then you like you've already taken the score, but then you also get to move Mace and at the very least get him engaged. I just think there's Phil is a character I don't think people have talked about very much, especially in the podcasting realm, and I was surprised by him. I think he's I'm not sure if I'd play him with almost anyone but Mace, but I think if you're playing full Premier, I think you play around you could definitely play around with Phil in a Mace squad.
I think Mace and Kit Fisto are the only lists where I would actually pair them. I like him in Kit Fisto just because Kit Fisto is always going to get reposition, which is huge. So even if Kit Fisto's engaged, he can go, cool, I'm going to blitz to this point over here. And there's a world where I'm like Kit Fisto, Phil, Seven Scorch. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just like in the boss list specifically, I like the forward deployment of the 212 because 212 then get to defensive maneuver, focus, and then throw 10 dice with Fixer's ability of I'm going to add dice for each Delta squad that's next to my target. And 212 with 10 attack dice is a drug because with their conversion and what they do with their expertise, you're looking at dead units, and the forward deployment means that they don't have to. They get on the midline with just the defensive maneuver, and I love that. Pawns is it's hard for me to turn off pawns when pawns is what won me the game at Worlds with my mace going into Thrawn.
Hey, that's a moment where you just look around and you're like, I am surrounded by fear and dead men.
Yes. So how have you been enjoying Mace? Because I heard you've been testing him lately.
Yes, I do have my card, the updated stance cards. Huge thanks there. It's been interesting. I feel like I have a lot to learn with Mace still. I was definitely not a Mace hater pre-buffs. Because there was a local that I was teaching, and his first win against me, he got it with Mace. And I was just having trouble getting the key shoves to get him off a point, and it was one of those games that Mace just kind of ran the table because his steadfast bubble was just always keeping me one success away from doing what I wanted. With that said, the testing so far, I have been having a really hard time duplicating that, where I've just felt like he's like really casually getting dislodged. And it might be a thing where I have to approach it a little bit more from a premier perspective. And you're like, you're not necessarily dropping Mace into everything. So is this a list that if I saw this, that I would be playing the other side because I don't yet fully realize what things dislodge Mace well enough. But I think he's really interesting. And I think my favorite part about Mace is kind of similar to why I like the Kanan Han list with Callus, is where when you have this like ability to spend force in interesting ways and to just kind of like fill in the gap that you need in a moment, I think Mace also helps accomplish that in a different way, but also a very interesting way. And that part I really like. And I think Mace could just be one of those characters in the long run where if you like Republic or maybe almost anything, you just go, does Mace solve my force issues with just like a solid, dependable package? And yeah, I'm definitely interested in playing him more.
So I have a list that I need to test out, and I'm kind of stealing the idea from Scott B and his Mando list, his Dooku armor. I want to
Yeah.
know, what does Mace armor look like and do, because you could just leave Mace on Jedi Master and you shove him off people with his Force Blast, and you now just have this constant Force battery. Every time you Shatterpoint, you get your 2 Force, which gives you enough Force to do whatever you want to do with Mandalorians. And I'm wondering if that's a world I want to live in. And I'm just haven't been brave enough to put it on the table yet, but I got to try it. Uh, like
I'll try it. Yeah, that sounds like a me list for sure. I've been itching to put Mandos back on the table again, and I've been looking for an interesting list for Mace. And so, and I like Scott's Dooku list. I think that's really interesting, and this does similar things. Um, Scott played Magna Guard, right?
yeah,
Not
and
B1s.
not B ones, and I
And
think that gets changed now. I think B1s right now, being on these bigger maps and first contact, I think B1 stock drastically dropped. Not having not having the ability to move an extra movement on their turn is like their biggest weakness.
you mean Magna Guard stock dropped.
Yes, not having a range attack
Okay.
and not having a dash on their turn is like what
All
I.
right. Yeah. I finally put B1s on the table again, like last week or something. And I was kind of surprised. I was like, now that, because I actually hadn't played them since my first 2 games of Shatterpoint. My first 2 full in-person games were with Separatists. I played Asajj Droids Dooku box. And that was my first 2 games in person with with Shatterpoint, and I was very down on B1s. I probably said very, very negative things about them on Rogue Support. But I will say now, coming back, there's a lot of things like the healing mechanics on Rex and Bo Katan. Those sort of things you don't get initially. I don't think I fully grasped how good like Ahsoka's revenge triggers and stuff were when I was first few games, just because you don't remember them. And even if you forget one, then the next one is less effective because you're not in the perfect position. So there's all sorts of these layers to things. But I think as I've grown over as a player over the years, I feel like I can utilize the B1s better with their like shoot and reposition sort of effects. And yeah, so I'm not as down on them as I used to be.
I'll say they are the go-to support for me to put under Rift Tamsin because I love the play pattern of Rift Kalani with B1s. B1s are they focus fire a unit, give them the expose. Rift Tamsin then jumps in with blood in the water, and you get to attack an exposed unit. It's a very solid play pattern because I put Nasserai and the Aqua Droids under Grievous because I want those Grievous
Yeah.
dice. I want those Grievous dice getting pumped up. But
Yeah.
B I have to respect B1s because pre-patch, this is Mace when Mace had this godly defense. B1s one shot him off the table. And I was like, how the heck did this? And this was in melee with Vader Grievous pre nerfs, and they got the Vader dice. And I'm like, they took out Mace Windu by focus firing him in melee. And I'm like, how the heck did that happen? It was like my worst Mace game
That's
ever. But
yeah, that's a lot. But hey, I'm excited about this. I want to play this Mace Armorer list. I could I could see because there's talk of like some future Mace project of like Mace surviving Revenge of the Sith and
that'd be so
something
cool.
else happening with him afterwards, which I think would be super dope. I don't think the age works out that he would have to be like a grumpy old man by
Honestly,
armor time.
they had the perfect thing they could have done with Mace. And I was talking with Aubrey at this at the hangout, and we spent like 30 minutes on this topic. The Boba Fett show shouldn't have been Boba Fett doing dances with wolves with the Tusken Raiders. It should have been him going after revenge and hunting down a Mace Windu that survived. Think about it. Like, it'd
Yeah.
be such a good way to see the underworld of Star Wars. And I don't know. The Boba Fett show is so mixed bag. It's like the Mando stole his show in the 2 episodes that he's in. Like, you see him murk this guy in half with a dark saber, and I'm like, yeah, give me that.
I
uh,
will say though, as much as I do have complaints about the Boba show and the I will say the Tuscan storyline,
I like the
I
Tuscans.
actually liked.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought seeing some of the workings of the Tuscans and just feeling like you got to like be tossed in a little bit more into the kind of the behind the scenes stuff of the things we already know and love about Star Wars. Tuscan Raiders have been in Star Wars since the beginning. And so getting to see more of that was really cool. You get to see more into the underworld of Tatooine. My problem was just when I saw Boba Fett on the throne, I'm like, we're getting Crime Lord Boba Fett. This is so cool. And then we got kind of a half-ass redeemed Boba Fett, which I just don't think worked.
I don't think that worked. The other problem, the moment the show started going downhill, is when they mentioned they killed all the Tuscans off screen. All of
Yeah.
the Tuscan Raiders that like, I'm like, give me the show. If you're gonna do this whole Tuscan Raider thing, instead of having it be Boba Fett Crime Lord, have it be Boba Fett King of the Tuscans and unite all the Tuscan tribes. And we
Yeah.
get this like how they did with a Shard Het, and how a Shard Het used to in Legends was like a Tuscan Jedi and became Darth Krayt down the line. Like, they could have done so much more with that. That's my biggest thing. They started off actually really strong and then ended with a thud. Uh,
Can you imagine also if like the Tuscan Raiders were like there in the final episode and they like showed up to help Boba
that's what
and
I'm
were like
saying. They
a whole
had
bunch of Tuscans like fucking people up, whereas like Crime Lord Boba Fett and he has supports from the Tuscans. That would be so cool.
they had such a potential, and it's just like
Yeah.
eh, it's kind of the problem with Disney Star Wars. They have a lot of really cool ideas, and then somewhere in the execution, they mess some of it up. And then, like, each show has elements I love, but each show also has elements I hate.
I think if they were doing it now after Daredevil season 4, the Born Again has come out, and they were like, "Oh, we can do something that's like a little violent
Yeah,
and have it work." I think the Boba Fett show should have been like Daredevil Born Again, where we're like, "Okay, we're going to get like a little bit more underworld, a little bit more like violent, bash your head in with a stick." And there would have been such potential. I think they just maybe it should have happened just a little bit later.
yeah, like it was cool. And also, the Cad Bane Boba Fett fight in Boba Fett was so lame. I'm like, cool. He has him pinned on the ground, then Boba Fett trips him and stabs him with the gaffer stick. I'm like, I wanted a little bit more of a brawl than that. Like, this is Cad Bane. He's supposed to be like the bounty hunter to go up against Boba Fett. And like
And
it
you're
was
you're 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 hitting my like rant territory. I hate calling Cad Bane a bounty hunter because he has never been portrayed doing any bounty hunting on screen ever. He's just been a crime. He's just
yeah,
been a criminal.
they should have just
And so
called him
I
the
hate
bad.
that he's
Yeah, and he's based off of Lee Van Cleese's The Bad from Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. They should have just called
yeah,
him the bad. Like he
he's
we
just a criminal.
you're right.
And
We don't see him do any bounty hunting, and
even like I was already when his the Tales of the Underworld dropped, I'm like, "Oh, this is younger cat. This is going to be bounty hunting stuff." Nope, just
yeah,
crime lord stuff.
the Asajj episodes were great. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see what they do with her now. Like
Yeah.
I'm super hyped for the Maul Shadow Lord series because it's
Agreed.
promising the crime underworld that like Tales of the Underworld didn't really give us.
Yeah, high expectations there for sure.
Like Sam Witwer's such a good Maul. But no, any
He's such a
weird
good everything.
right? Any good weird lists that you've been trying lately? Anything like off the cusp that's like so far left field that it to quote one of the worst movies ever made, so crazy it just might work.
Well, the like as I already mentioned, the craziest thing that I tried, which was the Krennic Cad Bane thing, which there might just be a better version of that somewhere. That's been like the weirdest thing that I would say that I have tried of recent. Um, and it was definitely in that category of, is this gonna work? Or is this just not gonna have enough force? And it might work. I think I messed up a Han and Chewie activation, and then my dice went just bad enough that I was trying to kill Sin's Aura Sing, and I thought I was going to be able to do it. So my whole plan was hinging on this. And then I have an aura, not like Aura Sing. I have a personal aura that makes everyone roll a lot of expertise around me. And so I specifically uh, used one of Han and Chewie's abilities so the one who was further back could get far enough forward that she couldn't dash outside of range of that shot. Then she rolled enough goddamn expertise that she repositioned out of range.
Her defense
That
is
was
so
rough.
good. Um,
Yeah.
her and Riva are like the two tankiest secondaries now because their expertise is just so good. Freaking Inquisitors, man. They've been showing up. I know how much you love Fifth Brother, but you gotta give Fourth Sister a try, even outside of Riva. Her glow up is so good. She's
I
just
think I played her my second game, like my second game after the errata dropped was I did play Four Sister.
she's really good. Like just the force pull plus the range attack is so huge. Definitely not the tankiest model, but she's not there to be tanky. She's there to make plays. And
Yeah.
because a lot of times Fifth Brother goes and sits on a point, and that's what he does. That's his job. Because he's there to be tanky. She's there to be this Darth Maul level play, and she's doing it as a support, and I find that very interesting. The saber throw, dashing around and jumping around, pulling people off
Very, very
points.
dynamic.
Yeah, love her a lot. So, so with the Evergreen Open, would you say that it should be something to super hype for, like, or do you think we're going to get the 32 players? I don't know the.
It's entirely possible because we were pretty close to the 32 last year without the people flying in like we have this year. So I would not be surprised. There was the thing that I really noticed about Evergreen last year that I thought was so cool is that not only did it have some. Actually, I don't remember if we had Portland people. And I think that was one of the things that surprised me. I was like, wow, did the Portland community just not come for this one? But there was enough people from BC and there was people from all around Washington state. It was like Gig Harbor, all over the place. And I was like, that's so cool that kind of anybody who loved Star Wars in the state kind of just showed up for it. And so I definitely think that we could get a few more signups. And I would not be surprised if we could hit 32. I think being at exactly 32 can get a little hard at times because you always have a couple people who need to drop for emergencies. And if your event can't go over because just the amount of prize support and stuff you have, then you can't have people planning to go that can still support the couple of people leaving. But I think 30 people would be very, very reasonable for the event.
Well, it's like we already got 20 registered. I noticed
Yeah.
Sarah Cruel's coming. That I'm
Yep.
excited about that. I'm excited about the Zion's Finest guys coming along. I am predicting an Anakin Mundi list to be somewhere in there, which will be cool because if I face off against him, it'll be Annie Mundi versus Mace Mundi, which would be a sick fight. Uh, again, battle the actual who's the real chosen one because some people
Yes.
think it's Mace. um, but yeah, no. Uh, so I know you're excited about the Gin Bucks. Are you excited about Delta Squad?
Yeah, so I definitely there's a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because when I was playing Hunter and I got my GT win, I definitely was getting the attitude from Republic people that were like, "Well, I want Jedi Republic. I don't want Clone Republic." And I was kind of like, "It's just Republic, boys." But this like I just felt like as I was getting really into Hunter, everyone in the Republic sphere didn't really want to talk about Hunter and was kind of down on the clone side of Republic. And I'm like, this is really fun. He's really interesting. I love all these cool play patterns. I was loving Wolf. I thought there was so much interesting stuff to explore there. And I mean, I was even playing Hunter Anakin, and then I switched to Hunter Lumi, and I was just really enjoying the experience and what I was getting out of the list. And now we are getting more clones. So there's definitely a part of me that's like, hey, I am so hyped for this like all clone list. And I see other people being hyped about it. So there's definitely that realm where I'm like, yeah. Like, cause as much as I'm enjoying like my Obi and Kiadi or my Kiadi and Anakin and like all these like lists where I get to play these cool Jedi, I also dig the clones. I dig the cool armor where I don't have to paint anybody's face. I love it. I am getting a little better at painting faces though. So I'm definitely on board for it. My only precaution is that I don't tend to and enjoy the like more straightforward murdery lists. Like I just played Aiden again for my second time and I found her exceedingly boring again.
She's really
And
good, but
so
yeah, she
yeah,
does one thing, and Delta Squad does the same thing. Delta Squad does it
right.
through
So there
different means, but the math on the list is that Delta Squad actually does more damage than Ida Invader pre nerf because of the amount of out of activation attacks they are getting from Seven Scorch and from Crosshair, or not Crosshair, uh Rex. Um
yeah.
I do not like that Seven Scorch can trigger that attack off of any Galactic Republic character. And they get to do it even if they're wounded. it's a power creep on Rex, and it makes them extremely outputty. And I'm excited for the all clone world. I am not excited for what it's going to do to the meta because the meta right now is at such a good spot. And this super killy team, I feel bad for Ewoks. They're going to get shot off the board. And
There is no such thing as feeling bad for Ewoks. I have to disagree with you on that part. Killing Ewoks is that's just a glorious pastime that we should all savor and enjoy, as they tried to eat Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. And but I fundamentally agree with you. I am a little nervous about how big of an impact Delta Squad is going to have on the meta overall. Because I agree, like the game is in an amazing spot. I think there's a ton of really competitive lists right now. I think there's a ton of lists that are right on the cusp of being super competitive that could still really work. And I think there's still probably some hidden gem. Like, I mean, I want to try this armor mace thing. That could be a thing. I'm actively excited about trying that. With all that said, I don't want a new release to drastically shrink the meta. And I don't know for sure that Delta Squad is going to do that. So I don't want to be like doom and gloom. I will play them when I play them, which will be when I paint them. But um, yeah, as long as they don't shrink the meta into something that's like, that I don't find as interesting, I'm definitely on board for it. I'm looking forward to the challenge of how I'm going to base them and to make it so it's easy for my. I think it's important, and maybe this kind of comes back to the whole con a kind of convention survival guide stuff. I think it's really important for your tokens and your models to be easily identifiable to your opponent. um, I don't like the plastic tokens that a lot of people use for the Force, where the light side versus the dark, like the used side of the Force, are so similar in tone that it's really difficult. Thankfully, Sin uses them, but she's switched to that they're significantly far apart from each other. And so it's more about spacing and counting which one on which side. I'm like, oh, that actually makes it very reasonable for me. Thank you. And so I like what she's done with that. But I think it's also important. My first game with Death Troopers and Death Trooper Specialist, I accidentally moved my Death Trooper Specialist when I activated Death Troopers.
the Death
I was like,
Trooper
wait a second. It based these differently. This guy should not be there.
the Death
And so
Troopers
it's
get
fixable.
me even to this day. Like the fact that now we have four of these guys that can be on a table, and
Yeah.
definitely paint them so you can tell them a different, because it's like what my brother did with ISF is Iden and Gideon Hast, they're helmetless. The ISF support, they get the helmets just so we can tell the difference.
I based so my Hask has I took some of those antennas from the terrain and I drilled little holes in the base. And so I put three of the kind of antennas on the base, sticking out of the base, and then painted a glow in the indented area on them. So it's easy to tell my Hask apart, even though he has a helmet, because the basing is so different.
Yeah.
And so I think you can look at little tricks like that to help out. But I realized mess up my Death Trooper Specialist, even though he's on all metal and the Death Troopers have orange sand on their bases. I still just messed it up in the moment. I'm like, maybe I should touch these up just a little bit more. Something to help this stand out. Just like they're my models and I messed it up. Um, so I think that can really be an easy thing to help you know, because it can also lose you a game. You're like, oh, I meant to have my secondary next to this objective, not the support. And that can be a very difficult thing to fix after you flip the mission and you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah. Like the way I'm looking at it is like I had to buy another Lumi box because I want an Inquisitor Lumi for that Inquisitor list that I came up with.
Yeah.
So I need Dark Side Lumi, but I also need a new set of Republic Commandos because, like everyone else, I painted mine up as 7 Scorch, and you can't use them if they're representing characters. And now that Delta Squad exists, my current Republic Commandos are now illegal. And and I don't want, instead of repainting them and stripping them, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna get a new box. I want the new Lumi anyways, and I'm gonna do a regular clone commandos. Uh, AMG, I am mad at you because you did specify at the panel that it would be clone commando synergy, not Delta Squad synergy. So my pawns does not get an inherent buff. Like,
Life is hard.
life is hard. Like, I get its moment, but no, I think Delta Squad,
Yeah.
I'm not doom and gloom on them, but they definitely shift the meta to where it's a little bit more narrow. They definitely gatekeep some lists out of the game. I don't think it's going to be enough to where, it's going to be as bad as where everything at Adepticon was Iden, where I do think you're going to see 3 or 4 lists really be able to compete at the top tables, maybe even 5. There is answers to it. It's just it. My big rant video coming up is less doom and gloom and more a warning to don't get blindsided by it, because the last thing you want to do with this game is get blindsided by a box so bad that it's a bad play experience. A lot of people had that with Vader Jedi Hunter when he first came out, where they got blindsided by how much attrition they can get, and a lot of people left because of that release. And
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It was a hard moment, but it was weird because I don't ever feel like Vader 1 was the best thing in the game, but it was just awful for the people who are just coming in and like, of course people are going to try Vader because Vader's really good. So for fresh people, it was awful.
it's a baby clubs. It's a baby seal clubber. And
Yeah.
that's the way boss is gonna feel at the very beginning. A lot of people are gonna play into it. They're not gonna be ready for the output it has, and it might lead to some negative play experiences. That's my biggest warning: is just don't get blindsided by it. Be prepared. Be prepared that stuff's gonna go down. It's gonna happen. Luckily, the game's aged and we have enough experience into this type of thing that I hope I'm wrong. I hope that people can find answers, and I hope it isn't this big dominant thing that Iden was. I think the biggest problem is that they left Iden alone for too long. It for that like whole ever since her release, she warped the meta so bad, and for like that full year up until the balance pass, it was Iden everywhere, and it was I hope they don't do that type of thing again. I think if Boss turns out to be the big boogeyman of the meta, like I kind of think he might be, hopefully they address it sooner than later. That's just my biggest pointers to AMG. Hopefully they keep their game balanced. Last thing we need is
Very, very reasonable.
last thing we need is an Iden level threat happen. The holiday season happens and there's no more GTs, and people are stuck playing uh going into Adepticon, because that's the thing. We don't have any adept releases that we don't know of coming before Adepticon. We got Balin School and
We
Morgan
know that,
Elspeth.
yeah,
We don't know if
they're
they're gonna.
quarter two, but yeah, we don't know if they're going to hit before Adepticon or
Yeah,
not. They
everything's
were
up in the
listed as
window.
quarter two.
Yeah, everything is up in the window with AMG when it comes to releases, because sometimes delays happen. Kit Fisto came out the weekend of Adepticon, so he wasn't legal for Worlds. I wish he was, because I would have taken Phil and Phil's clones. Uh, but that's the idea. Don't make it so we're in this prepping for Adepticon and we have to prep for just we're gonna see boss mirror matches the whole time. Last year's the Adepticon this year was funner to play in the team tournament than it was the Worlds. I fought 4 items at Worlds and it was miserable.
Team tournaments tend to be a lot of fun. I'm gonna break my own podcasting rule, and I want to backtrack slightly because you keep making me think about this armor or mace thing, and I want to ask you, which secondaries do you think you run, and who gets which ones? Because there's actually interesting options here. Because you could actually play both bow and gar,
So if
or do you play keep Paz and then does Mace get bow or Gar? And I
so
think the way the meta is shifting, there's more and more reason to consider Gar, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
so currently, if I were to take Mace armor to, let's say I take it to the event in Evergreen Open, I would be leaning towards Gar. with mace, or but actually probably bow with mace. No, I'd have to go Gar if I want to take bow with armor. Um, but post Delta Squad, I think I think Paz has to be a part of your list. I don't think it's a I don't think it's an option of, oh, I can drop Paz. No, I think you have to have Paz in your list because the Mandalorian lists at Adepticon that played Paz into the Iden meta did significantly better on a statistical level than the ones that shifted to playing Dengar with Mando and all Mandos. It means you have to be a little bit more careful with your force, but Paz is such an equalizer on the attrition front that, attacking into him, he gets to attack back type things. And with Delta Squad coming into the game being a very similar spot as Iden, I think you need Paz post their release. But before, I'd actually be on Gar with Bo Katan. You're still taking
Gar and Bo.
yeah, Garbo. Because Gar is so good into Obi-Wan that like it'll be a huge help. Obi-Wan is such a meta relevance right now that Gar and um Gar and Crosshair have been making a lot more of my lists because of Obi-Wan. And Crosshair is just like, I need an out, and Crosshair is that out. Every time he goes, I'm like, he's just gonna delete a support, delete a secondary, or heavily damage a primary. I'm big on Crosshair. I'm big on him in any Lumi list or any Mundi list. But yeah,
I feel you on all those fronts. Yeah, and I agree. I think you definitely probably want Paz once Delta hits. I think that kind of becomes somewhat essential. And maybe you just want him anyway because you're just going, hey, I might as well practice, and you got like Iden still to think about and stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, I think and like the force, the one of the things that kind of would hold back Paz is that he could only do his like reactive jump and shoot thing so many times because of your force restrictions, and
it
that's probably not a big issue with Mace.
well, yeah, if you're doing the all Mandos, the trick is that two of your activations aren't gonna get force. And that usually ends up being a Mando activation and a Bo Katan activation. Because Bo Katan can still get around the board without having to spend force for her jump. She gets the move next to a Mandalorian, she gets a dash because of her focus. So that's usually where I save on force is Mando doesn't always clan a 2, and I never reserve. Even if I have a bad Mando activation, Mando's job in that all Mando list is less about the revenge. It's more about the condition clearing. That way Paz gets to do what Paz wants to do. That's
Interesting. I'm not sure I've ever activated Mando and not used Clan of Two, but I will say prior, if we go back a little bit, my preferred Mando list, if I was playing Armor or Mando, actually still had Dengar in it for a free activation that didn't use Force and would give me a free reserve on Mando if he came up at the wrong time.
it,
And so that relieved a lot of pressure.
it does. The trick, I still love that list. And currently without Delta Squad in the game, that is the Mando list I play is Dengar in there because it does free up the force. It makes your list consistent. But in a when it was at the Iden meta, Iden Vader, you have to give up that consistency because without Paz, your chances of beating Iden significantly drop. It
Yeah, I don't
is
think I would have dropped that into. Now, mind you, my meta is very light on Iden anyway. Like, has always been light on
yeah.
Iden. But I would almost always. One of my lists is always heavy revenge. And if I see that my opponent has Iden plus something, I will generally play the more revenge intensive that and so yeah, even if I paired Mando with it. But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Is like, yeah, uh you could definitely struggle with Armor or Mando just like into Iden without paths.
Paz for me is dependent on the meta. He will flow into Mandos or he will not. And I'm going to be putting that Mace armor list on the table this week. I kind of want to try that because if I can take that to the event and just go, cool. I got something that's going to be weird. No one's going to expect. I think that'd be sick.
Well, we know conceptually the idea works,
Yeah,
right?
it's
And
it's a different take on Scott's list. It's just you
right.
get a
And
better
now Mace even has a range attack,
and
right? And he
that's the
actually has a
trick.
better range attack than what Dooku has.
Yeah, because Dooku doesn't get shoves on his. And that's
Yeah,
like,
his better force mass, his side with the better expertise for the gun, his force lightning, is kind of a damage and movement side, not a shove side.
yeah,
And so it's a
and
little better for Mace.
that's where I'm looking at. I'm definitely doing Mace. I'd be doing Mace, Bo-Katan, ARFs because the ARFs are there
Yeah.
for the support fire dash. It's so that way Mace can force blast, support fire dash, and get up the board because he has no one that moves him in that list. His job is to not cost any force and give your
Yeah.
entire list force. Like that list is every time I get the chance to go Has, I'm doing it.
We
So
also, if you don't end up needing a ton of force, like just depending on how the things unfold, he also gives you a way to blow force. And you're like, I'm just going to add 3 dice to his defense because the way the game is playing out, I just didn't have to spend as much force. Or you're like, well, it looks like I'm going to have a little extra. So he's going to roll 2 more dice on this range attack.
I
He gives you that flexibility to also utilize the force in a cool way.
and that's the thing I love about Mace. You said the key word flexibility. I love the Anakin Mooney
Or should
list,
we
but
call him Mr. Fantastic?
yeah, I've had so much love and hate with Anakin because when Anakin flubs, oh boy, does it feel bad when you're playing Anakin Mundi and you just did this big investment and Anakin does not perform. He gets chosen one erectile dysfunction and goes, I'm gonna shit the bed on you and perform an Amber Heard and no one likes you.
That was a lot of references there, all in one sentence. You packed it in.
Yeah, kind of like sometimes some kind of like packing in some of his shitty die rolls.
Yeah.
Uh, I love Anakin, but I've stopped playing him because I just like the flexibility Mace gives me. I can play aggressive with Mace. I can play defensively with Mace. I can have go. He's going to be the battery that just keeps going. He's the Energizer Bunny for my list. So yeah, I'm in this world of I want to try it with armor. I think that could be spicy. Thank you, Scott, for showing the world how good Dooku armor is, and I think I'm going to try it with Mace because it could work. And Bo Katan's just
Yeah,
still
yeah. I
like,
always liked Scott's idea there.
yeah, and I haven't put the Dooku variant on the table yet, so it's like I gotta try it. Gotta try
Yeah.
it. But no, so any final thoughts on the Evergreen Open? I know we were all over the place on this episode, but I kind of figured we would be.
Yeah, not entirely unexpected. But I give some people, if they're not coming, that they still just get some good Shatterpoint talk in general. So I think the mix up was probably good. Overall, I'm really excited for people who are coming out. If you want to schedule last minute, like there's still some open slots. I'm going to be judging. I'm going to be setting up the tables. I'm specifically working on having a pre-planned layout for the finals table. I'm testing different layouts of terrain, trying to find something that I think is particularly interesting for a finals table. And I've never been able to do that for another game before. I've set up tournaments for War Machine. I've run an insane amount of tournaments in my lifetime, but I've never pre-planned a finals table.
and
And I'm kind of looking forward to it.
you gotta make it so it can play on all the maps, which is going to be interesting
Right.
because it gets
That's
hard.
the hardest part. Yeah.
First
Well,
contact
they're gonna
threw
be like,
such a curveball on the table front.
yeah. So the challenge that I'm having is, so I'm trying to create a table that would create unique challenges for each side of the board. The problem is you also don't want to create and go, well, the challenges for this side of the board won't apply on mission X, but the other side of the board's challenges would apply on mission X. And so then you create a one-sided table. That's the challenge. And so trying to create a cool enough, unique layout. Um, but I'm enjoying the challenge. And so once I have it figured out, I'm gonna take a bunch of pictures of it, and so that I can have it all ready to go and I can set it up for the finals game where it's not just something I threw together in the last moment. I'm going to really try to do something special and make the finals game interesting for the two players who get there. But I also think that the Pacific Northwest just has a really wonderful community in general. So I think for everybody who's getting to play in it, who's getting to get promos, I think you're just going to have really good games. I went 2-2 last year and I had a blast. I enjoyed my losses, I enjoyed my wins, and I enjoyed hanging out and watching games, talking with the players. There was just a really good vibe, and I'm really hoping that I can help maintain that into this year.
I'm excited for it. Like every chance I get to go and play with other people, I'm super happy about it. It's what finally drove me to start TTS again because I do not like DTS testing all that much. It's a finicky program, and my PC doesn't run it at optimal settings. And uh, getting out to play in person with a ton of people you've never played against before, it's a blast. It's one of the best things about any minis game. It was the best part about Star Wars minis and like the Legion of the Coast, Wizards of the Coast days. Now I can. It's hard to go back to that game looking at how badly those things are painted.
So while we're talking about Star Wars Wizards of the Coast minis, because I had totally forgot that you were in Spokane, my community came down and did Spokon specifically for Star Wars minis.
I was there.
Did we meet?
We may have unintentionally met. I know I knocked out one of the Bellevue players out of the tournament with my Grandmaster Yoda Kit Fisto team. And
I forget, but the first time, so I still remember because we were having this moment. So my meta was like really well developed. And so I told the guys, I'm like, all right, we're coming down for Spokon. And I remember we hung out with a bunch of guys, but before we were coming down for the event, I was specifically like, hey guys, we do 2 tournaments a week. Like literally every single week was 2 tournaments, Wednesday, Saturday. We were insane. Um, but I was like, come on, guys, we have no idea what this meta is like. Let's not go down trying to like kick people's shit in. Let's just go down, like meet more people in the community, have fun. And we were like, there's some cross conversations on the forums and not discords. And one of the Spokane guys said something and made it sound like we were all going to be easy wins for him.
oh yeah, no.
And
I think that might have been Ben
and
Mankey. He's one of the bigger
well,
competitors in our
no, no,
area.
no. So it was a total. So what he was trying to say was that he would be an easy win for everybody. But
Oh.
we took it wrong. Um, and so I was like, all right, we're coming down to fuck. And like we all brought like the best list that we could and like came and like went into stomping mode. And I'm pretty sure I won that one. Um, but we were all joking around about it. He's like, no, he's like, I'm so casual. I was trying to say that like I'm an easy win.
Oh.
And we were all joking around about it like the whole time, like having drinks because that one was at like a college campus.
Yes, it was at Spokane Falls Community College.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
where I went to community college, and this was before it like hit the DoubleTree in. Spokane was a relatively small con. It no longer exists. It went out before the days of COVID. It was poorly managed at after the end of it. But it was a fun blast. I remember the guy bringing in Yobuck, and he was so mad that Yoda on Kaiba died to Jar Jar Binks. Bombat Gungan for the win.
Yeah. I don't remember if I came down for one after Yobuck came out,
Yobuck
but I
is
don't I don't remember the exact timeline.
yeah,
But
Yobuck
I'm
is
just
a
really curious if you think were you at Spokon Star Wars mini stuff while it was still at the community
Yes,
college?
yes. I was.
Was there multiple of them?
I
Did
think
it
there was
have
only two of them. I think, and
were you at both?
I was, and so
Okay.
maybe we did cross paths at some point. Like,
We probably met then, because yeah, we definitely came down. I don't know if
like
that was the first one, but I think the timeline would be because I remember Blake, who was a younger kid, I'm pretty sure he had the Shaak Ti Jedi Master in his list. So he was kind of it was past that point. So I could very easily see that Yobuk would have been out for the second one.
yeah,
Um
it's definitely. I miss Star Wars minis, but they did not
yeah.
handle that game well in terms
Oh
of
yeah, no,
balance.
balance was awful.
It was like I'm
But
like I had four Mace Windows, none of them work.
that's funny that we probably met in the community, but that would have been like 18 years ago, 19 years ago.
I think closer to 20. It was
Yeah.
2010 that they did spoke on. Um, so that's closer to 25 that's 15 years ago. Yeah, like man, I'm getting old. Uh
Yeah. I definitely don't think I went in 2010. It would have had to have been a little before that because I was that
they had
yeah,
it
I
for
wouldn't be surprised if I went in like
2010 and 2009. Those were the only years they
I
ran
think
minis. So
yeah, so I think it was 2009 when I went. Because I don't think I went the year right before I got into War Machine.
yeah, and
But that's funny. It's funny that we met.
yeah, and our community wasn't that big. Our community was like 8 players, and our tournaments
Yeah.
were not weekly; they were monthly. We had one tournament a month down here at Merlin's, which Merlin's is still open and
Yeah.
great game store, but uh, then it just kind of died out, and no, there's not a lot of Star Wars community over here in Spokane. Like everything went to Warhammer and like
Yeah.
40K and stuff. And the community for 40K over here is not that good. They it basically gate kept me out of the game.
Yeah, that's rough. It
But
definitely something that's on my mind is all right, what's the next step for growing the local Shatterpoint community? And that's something that I think Sin and I may even do an episode on soon. Like, because we were kind of just thinking about having a discussion because we're both the kind of people that will just like go out, do demos, help people figure out which things they would like to play the most, like teach them in a way where they're, they're getting to enjoy the games and but want to figure out like what's our plan? Because as much as I love mocks, it's not always the best store to just like set up a demo table at because people come in with a mission. It wasn't like what grew Star Wars minis for us was we were playing at a game store that was in a mall. And so we were playing our tournaments and stuff in a mall. And so the Microsoft dads would just walk through and be like, "Well, this is cool. This is a Star Wars game." And then them and their son would start playing with us. And we just the community grew so much because of it because there was so much more foot traffic. Um and that's just not something that all game stores have. So it's how do we figure that out? But that's honestly a big part of what we want to do with the Rarely Reserved show is kind of emphasize hype, emphasize community growth. And I'm still a competitive person, a competitive player. I want to build the best list that I can. But I want to dig for gold too. I want to like try stuff, see if there's something that's going to feel better if I put it on the table than what it looks like on paper and just bring all of that out and do shows that make people more excited to try stuff, to try new lists, to just share their excitement of the game. And so I'm hyped for the future of Shatterpoint, just kind of in general. And I feel really lucky that Sin came into the local community. It's like, holy shit, there's another great extrovert who's going to demo games and just get people really excited about it. And happy she joined me for this little podcast journey.
yeah, it'll be fun. I'm gonna listen. I'm excited for you guys' second episode whenever that drops. The I
Well, the
am
second episode is up free on Patreon. They're already 2 episodes are already live. We're gonna record the episode 3 on I think maybe before this comes out.
oh cool. Yeah, no, I'll definitely check it out. Like I'm excited about like the world of podcasts right now that are blowing up. We got Between Two Sprues that just started up, Coordinated Fire started up. I started up my channel. Like my podcast is a little bit more chillax. There's no structure to it whatsoever.
I
But
just before we recording, I listened to like half an hour, 45 minutes of Between the Sprues. And I was like, holy shit, is this my new favorite podcast?
they're
They like made
they're
a
fun.
podcast for me.
Um,
And I like poos a lot anyway. And so, but I hit a spot where I listened to a couple episodes of something. I forget what it was, but I have been podcasting for so long. I have these pet peeves, and there's certain things that people do on podcasts that just like drive me nuts. And I'm like, took a little like listening to podcast break. But yeah, there's some good shit popping up. I was like, Between Two Sprues, I was like, you guys are my jam. Did you just write a love letter to me? Because this is great.
they're entertaining. It's funny.
But
Like
yeah,
it gives me the Rogue Support vibe. It's like why I like Rogue Support so much. It's like they just have a round table discussion, and if they go off on a tangent, they just let it happen. I
yeah.
don't like podcasts that they're
Very broy, like they're
yeah.
very like just like a lot of good rapport. You can tell that these guys like love each other and are just here to talk cool gaming stuff. And any show that captures that usually is going to be appealing to me.
Yeah, me like my channel, like I do my podcast, but my channel focuses a lot on short form content for intro players. My right now
Yeah,
it's focusing on just lists that you can take and try out at events, Unit 101, where you cover down the basics of units so that people can get a good starting point. And that because I'm looking on YouTube and like there's a lot of game reports, but there's not a lot of short form 5 minute videos you can watch. And my
yeah.
channel is kind of growing at a rate that I was not expecting. Like within
Hey, people like that kind of thing.
a month and a half, I'm at 116 subscribers now, and I'm like, what is happening? Did I like find my niche? Because I'm like, it's Shatterpoint. Like Shatterpoint's not the biggest game, but yeah, because my Yu-Gi-Oh, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, and that game, if you want broken mess of a game, that game sucks ass with how fast stuff becomes tier zero. I can't play card games anymore. Shatterpoint and Star Wars minis have ruined card games for me. It's like if I can't move a piece of plastic, I don't want to play it.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
like miniatures are so good. So everyone, yeah, everyone with the listeners, if you never played Shatterpoint and you just come across this episode randomly, play a minis game, play some tabletop. It's fun. You can get into Shatterpoint pretty cheap. It's not a crazy expensive game. Have a blast and go to the Evergreen Open.
Absolutely. We would be you will get slightly distracted when Din and I start talking about Wizards of the Coast Star Wars minis. But for most it's just going to be like hanging out, having beers or soda if you don't drink beer. No pressure. But we're just going to like we're going to have fun. It's going to be a really cool weekend and I'm excited. Obviously you're doing more content creation. My new co-host Sin, she's getting into this world, so I'm really excited for her to be able to meet you, and obviously Sarah Cruel, Kenny, Scott, and Pure Christopher. My secret love from Arizona. Don't tell Todd. Um, yeah, just and then of course you got like Ryan and Donovan from the local community. I love these guys, and this is all like a bunch of my favorite people are going to come together. We're going to play games, hang out, and I didn't even mention like Dylan, Time to Nerd. He's coming down to play and record. So many great people.
And
I'm so
there's
excited.
so many content creators in the Shatterpoint space at this event. Like I am excited to just even blog. Like I'm so glad you're recording games too, because that way it's like, oh, if you record one of my games, I can provide commentary over it. I'm so excited about that type of stuff, and like I gotta get on one of those streaming tables. I got to. I bet I wanted to get one at Adepticon, but there were so many games that had to go, and it was like slim pickings. But no. Are you going to Adepticon next year?
I am planning on it. This is probably more information than what the listeners want, but like my work just changed slightly, and they're talking about cashing out my vacation time, which would give me a huge paycheck because I have like 3 weeks saved up. Um, but then there's this weirdness of exactly when it starts accruing and when you get it, and so there's this small chance that if they cash it out at the end of the year and then when they start like when I get access to the newly accrued stuff, I'm just a little nervous that that could mess with Adepticon. Because if they cash me out kind of right before it, then I'm not going to have the PTO for it. Um, but my plan is to go, and I believe my co-host Sin is also planning to go. And so I'm definitely excited, and would definitely like to. It's worked into my plan. There's just this small awkwardness that if the new payroll system needs to cash me out shortly before it, I've got to try to work something out with my boss to be like, hey, I had 3 weeks saved up. I wanted to do this. Can we make this happen?
Yeah, no. Biggest takeaway from this episode, I could say it was definitely on a tangent episode, but go to a con, people. I'm gonna steal Omnus's advice. Go to a convention, have fun. They are the best way to meet new people, talk like-minded things, Star Wars. Even if you're an introvert, go have fun. Um,
Yeah.
like it's a
I think the
blast.
thing that the thing that I don't think people get until you do something like this is sure you're going to go for games and such, right? You're going to go, you're going to play games, you love the game, obviously. You're showing off your models, but there is something special about whether it's a big con or a small con, but you just end up where you're surrounded by people with the exact same passion that you have. And there's something really special about that that you can't put into words until you experience it. Because all of our nerd stuff, right? You maybe you have a partner that like embraces and like, hey, yeah, paint models, yeah, go take a day a week, but they're not into it. Or your family or your like coworkers, you always kind of feel like you have this thing that most of the people that you're around don't super enjoy, even if they totally embrace it and are like, yeah, you be you, you do the thing that you love. When you get out and you're at a convention and you all love the same thing, you all want to talk about the same thing, you're all excited about each other's lists, excited about each other's paint jobs, excited about each other's trays, excited about each other's dice and dice trays and Star Wars shirts and like all of it. It is just such an overwhelmingly positive feeling that nothing else quite captures. So I strongly, strongly recommend experiencing a con and then just be ready for it to be addicting.
Yep. Once you go to one, you're never gonna go back. You're never gonna go back to not doing this convention life.
Yeah.
COVID was the worst thing that ever happened to me because I went to like 5 conventions a year, and then for 2 years I had no conventions. It was rough. It's like, yep. Well, my hobbies are gone because I go to anime conventions. I used to, anyways, and
Yeah.
I'm in the gaming convention space, and I I don't regret. The last tip of advice: if you go to an event like Adepticon where it's a ton of games, do not try to play games every day. Take a day to where you can just look at the con and turn your brain off and enjoy the convention, look at the vendors hall, look at the painted miniatures competition. I didn't get to do that at Adepticon. I played games all weekend, and it's my biggest regret. I didn't get a look. I was stuck playing the team tournament, which I wouldn't take over back. I would not have signed up for the final
Stuck
event.
playing in a team tournament. What a sentence. You had a fucking blast.
Yeah, no, I would have dropped out of the frenemies event. Is what I should not have signed up for frenemies and used day 3 just to enjoy the con. Go look at the painting competition because a lot of
Yeah.
those Warhammer stuff are really cool. A lot of the I'm never going to be as talented at painting as some of these people, and seeing this work is like, how the heck did they shrink themselves down so they can go and paint it like up close? Because how do they get that much detail? And especially like on faces, I am I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. Most of my faces are just skin tone, and I don't paint in eyes or anything because I can't do it.
Here's why. Okay, I love getting in a little hobby tip. Here's my reason, because I've been a don't paint eyes guy for quite a while. Um, the first thing I started doing, anyone that has kind of like a little bit of dark side energy, I've been just like kind of going like, hey, I'm just going to try to hit white in the eye socket and then use either like a bright yellow, bright orange, or bright blue um, contrast paint, and then just put that over the white so it kind of gives you a glowing effect. And so that's my first solution. But then obviously Krennic doesn't have glowing eyes and it doesn't make sense. So what I did for him, and which has been something I've been starting to experiment with, is still hit white in that eye socket as best you can. Clean it up a little bit if you go over with your skin tone. Then take like a dark gray or a black wash, but very lightly hit the eye socket where you just kind of like it feels like you kind of outline the eye. And it's okay if you like muddy up the white because nobody has like true white there anyway, I think
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. But you can just kind of like hit the eye socket and just making it look like the eye socket has depth to it and separates the white of the eye from the skin tone is at least a step forward that I think helps make faces look better even if you're not perfect at painting eyes. So that's my hobby tip for the chosen ones out there.
Yeah, and always pick helmets if you don't like faces.
Or yeah, just always do helmets. I'm sure you heard the story of Sam messaging Katie Sackhoff. You know about this, right?
I don't know this lore.
Okay. So Sam Whitner paints minis. He paints Shatterpoint minis. Um, so voice of Darth Maul in the Clone
Yeah.
Wars. He got into painting really heavily during COVID. I believe preview was painting before it, but he's even like he's a Patreon subscriber of Sarastro.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
but when Shatterpoint came out and he picked up the core set, he texts Katie Sackhoff and asks her whether he should assemble her model with the head or the helmet. And do you know what Katie said?
Helmet on?
Helmet.
Yeah.
Helmet on. He was like, I was surprised that you said. She's like, no, helmet's too cool. And so I fucking love that story. And I was like, Katie agrees that you go Mando helmet for sure.
Yeah. Well, especially with Mandos, you gotta have the helmet on. This is the way.
Yeah.
Like I
Just
I I did my initial Rex helmetless and I regretted it, and I'm like, I went out and bought another Rex just so I can put the helmet on. Like the only clone I have, well, I got two clones that do not get helmets. Hunter, because I love the Rambo look. It's like my favorite thing. And Crosshair. I There's something about Crosshair's helmet that I hate. And I can't point it out, but I do not like its proportions. I do not like the look of his helmet. I'm like, you know what? He's going to represent the bald meta.
bald meta OP for sure. I respect that.
I,
Um,
I just
no,
shaved
I've
my
done helmets for all of them. I think the only one that I kind of maybe regret is Gar Saxon because I've literally bled on my Gar Saxon model because of his spikes.
my brother is currently working on a Moff Gideon. Um he took Gar Saxon's head, he took a Magna Guard Electrostaff, and he's doing season 3 Moff Gideon in the Mandalorian armor with the Darth Maul Mandalorian helmet, and he's going full Mando season 3 with it. And
That's super cool.
it looks super good. It's like he's like, yeah, I had to destroy one of my Magna Guards. Luckily, you have your own set of custom ones because we share a collection, and there's a few models we bought multiples of. Like
Yeah.
we need 2 sets of Rebel Commandos, 2 sets of
Yeah.
certain characters, and he cannibalized one of his Magna Guards, so one of his Magna Guards no longer has a hand. uh but yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on. This was a fun episode, but we are definitely on the 2-hour mark. It's longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you were talking about how your short form content. I was like, oh, I fucked that up because Omnus can talk.
Well, yeah. Hey, I don't mind. The 2-hour episode is good. Good for viewers who want to listen something on like on a drive to Evergreen Open.
Yeah, sit down. Get your painting done for Evergreen Open, and now you got 2 hours of Din and Omnus just talking random shit to entertain you, and hopefully we don't make you laugh too many times while you're trying to paint eyes. So if we did that, I'm sorry, but I'm also lying because I don't have empathy.
Well, you could always make eyes cold lemonade. I'm not sure if you get that reference.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you've ever watched Happy Tree Friends.
I have not, but sounds funny.
Animated show about critters getting killed in the most hilarious and heinous ways. It used to be on Attack of the Show.
Okay.
All right, this has been the Chosen One, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. Omnus, where can we reach you at?
Well, I am on Discord. Pretty much all the Shatterpoint stuff. You just look for Omnus. I do have messages open, so you can shoot me a message. You can also reach out to me through Longshanks. My Longshanks is actually Omnus, even though they don't allow people to make 5-letter names anymore. So I have one of the few usernames that literally just says Omnus. I didn't realize you couldn't do that anymore until Sin was trying to make her Longshanks account. But yeah, you can find me there. I'm also on Blue Sky as Omnus Protocol. Rarely Reserved is my new podcast co-hosted by Sin, which is a hype and kind of a little bit of a local focus, but blend of veteran plus newcomer. How do we talk about the game and just get more people in love with Shatterpoint and in love hearing about Shatterpoint stuff. So Rarely Reserved on all platforms, iTunes, Spotify, and I do have a YouTube channel, Omnus Protocol, which we will be getting back to more videos before Evergreen Open. I hope to like kind of retest everything out, make sure everything's smooth before Evergreen Open. But you know me, I love the Shatterpoint community. I love all the content creators like yourself, just like adding to it, and we help fill in those gaps, right? Between the next time that you get to play, something to listen to while you're painting, something to listen to on your lunch break. Keep that hype rolling. And Chosen One and all the other shows, we all add to that. And I'm really hoping Rarely Reserved becomes a key part of that too.
I'm looking forward to listening to you guys more. I listen to literally all the podcasts. I listen to them during work, so you guys got added to the list. I end up listening to like 30 hours of podcasts a week at this point.
Uh, One of Sin's friends told her that they listened to podcasts at like 2 times speed. And she was like insulted by it, which I thought was great. Because I was like, I just want you to know this is not an abnormal thing. A lot of people do it, but I feel you because like comedic timing, right? Like 2 times speed is a lot. And the voices don't sound the same. You're not going to get the same timing windows, but the way that some people's minds work, they just got to absorb things faster or they lose interest and zone out.
There's so much content out there right now, and I love it. Like the more Shatterpoint content, the better. Because you can find stuff to your niche. You like short form content, you can come to the Chosen One. You want
Yeah.
4-hour podcasts, you can go listen to the Red Mandos because they go on for a long time.
Well, you got like Hello There if you want some like mixture of lore plus,
They're so fun to listen to when they do the box
yeah.
episodes. I love the lore stuff. And
Yeah,
then
and so like we got a really good mix, I think, in the Shatterpoint community, which is wonderful.
oh yeah, I will be seeing you at the Evergreen Open. Thanks for coming on. And it was a
Absolutely.
blast. We'll have to do this again after the Evergreen Open, after we get the event done. For a good event roundup, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, after maybe at least Saturday of Evergreen Open, we'll all like grab beers, grab food, and it can be our Qui-Gon dinner time.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Chosen One, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. If you want to catch the next video, you can watch the one linked above, or you can just go and listen to the podcast on the playlist below. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for your support.